All right, are you ready? Are you ready for chapter 4? I'm ready. Let's get into it. We're doing the UOU book club discussion. I am excited about chapter 4. Chapter 4 is all about what is your why. I am going to assume that somebody has probably asked you your why a million times. And before I read the chapter, I honestly thought to myself, this chapter is going to be really generic. It's going to be one of those generic chapters that tells you that it's important to have a why. And it actually kind of went into a different realm that I wasn't expecting. And I got a lot of nuggets from it just from the side of education. And I don't know how. I don't know how we ended up there, but we did. And I think the most important part of this chapter is the last thing that I wrote down. There are certain things in life that money can't pay for. And I think that is a direct correlation to what is your why. Why is it you're doing what you're doing? And the more he started to talk about it, the more he started to talk about the difference between extrinsic why, intrinsic why, and why your why should be more internal, more intrinsic. Now, extrinsic whys work. I've told you a million stories probably already about my experience in college and the fact that I was an athlete. But I can tell you that the only reason that I even started moving in that direction as a youngin is because of the extrinsic motivations. They're like, hey, you want a medal? And I'm like, yes, I do. What do I have to do to get a medal? They're like, ooh, you just got to place in the top 3. And I'm like, cool, I can do that. And it would just be, which makes me easily gullible, I guess. However, it doesn't matter. It works. I would just, go in and make the decision on whether or not the trophy was the trophy that I wanted or the medal was the medal that I wanted. And if I could get that, then I felt really good about myself. I felt like I had accomplished something. But there was also this kind of catch-22 between that extrinsic why, because once you captured that thing, you owned it. And there was nothing really that tied me to going back to do any better than I had already done, because I already got my medal, I already got my trophies, I got all of them. And so luckily I was pretty good at continually setting goals for myself. It would be, I just want that trophy. Oh, I want more trophies than anybody else. Oh, I want that bigger trophy. Oh, I want more trophies and more medals than anybody else. Oh, I want that record. Oh, okay, well, I want, how many records can I get? Oh, I want more records than anybody else has. And I kind of just go through my life with this extrinsic motivation. And then I started to realize, okay, like people would ask me questions about why it is I was doing what I was doing. And I was just like, I don't know, I don't even like running. I don't even like running that much. What I like is the feeling I get from it. What I like is, being able to say that I accomplished something. And then I realized, as much as it is about the medals and the trophies, it also is like internally about setting goals with myself and following through all the way to accomplish those things. It kept me going for a really, 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 really long time. A really long time. And the more I recognized, I'm like, okay, my why is not necessarily tied to this. And my why isn't necessarily tied to running. Like I said, I don't really like running that much. He starts into the chapter is, what is your why? And he says, your why is what keeps you going. Your why is what keeps you coming back, running in circles over and over again. Because who does that? Unless you're crazy or unless you have something that is intrinsically, internally motivating, pulling you back in that direction. He says your why keeps you going. Your why pushes you forward. Your why wakes you up in the morning. Why is it you're doing what you're doing? And if you can tap into someone's actual why, their potential for being successful explodes. Their potential for being successful absolutely explodes because there is something within them that bubbles up, that is excited, that must move in that direction, that must move forward. And it keeps them going. It keeps them going. And I always look at people and I'm trying to make the determination of, okay, if you're not doing what it is you're supposed to be doing, are you connected to any reason of why it is you need to be here? And chances are likely there's no connection. So if I can find the connection, if I can make the link, then that person has an opportunity to be more successful. The author, strangely enough, ended up going to college, which is not the strange part, but maybe for him it seemed strange at the time. He did say that nobody he knew went to college, so maybe a little bit strange, but he went to college, gets there, doesn't do good, and then in the midst of all this, gets into teaching students who are in the GED program, which is so bizarre. That the student who is enrolled in school and not doing well has the audacity to try to help someone else help somebody else do well in their program. And as he was kind of telling this story, he said that, once he got into this, he wanted to help other people and he felt like he could help other people because he struggled at it. He says that he went back and when it was time for him to help people, he started looking for all the ways that a kid might understand the questions. How important that is. He started looking for ways that those people out there would understand the material that he himself had struggled with. And he said that most teachers, it seemed like most teachers couldn't help their students because they couldn't make it practical for their students. I can't even describe my desire for wanting to help other people. So when I read that he, felt this way, I personally have no one gets left behind here unless you choose to get left behind. You can choose that life, but not on my watch. I'm going to throw everything at you. We're going to look at it from every direction. We're going to look at it from every modality. We're going to look at it from every learning perspective. We're going to look at it every which way we can because I understand that I learn the way that I learn and that you learn the way you learn. But the idea is that we must learn. The idea is we must be successful. And he said that what he was coming up against is most teachers, it seemed, couldn't help their students because they couldn't make it practical. He went above and beyond his practices. And he said he combined the psychology aspect of it with the practice aspect of it and the mindset aspect of it. He did all the random things that people probably just wouldn't think of doing. But once I started to hear him say these things, I'm like, oh, that is the classroom that you want to be a part of. The classroom where he walks in, he's like, I played hip hop music to hype everyone up. I played classical music to kind of bring the mood back down. I brought in, motivational quotes and excerpts. We talked about the mindset. We talked about how things connected. He tried to convince them that they could be successful. He tried to explain to them or show them how to visualize their success. Because he knew he had trouble sitting still. They changed what they were doing. They moved around every 30 minutes. I'm like, this sounds like a classroom that is of the 21st century. This sounds like a classroom that people would want to be a part of, because there is the traditional aspect where you come in, you sit down, you sit still, and you get talked out for a long time, and you're supposed to retain everything the person is telling you. And the reality of the matter is, man, the tradition is not, that is not the way our children are being brought up anymore. It's not. And we have to look at different practices. We have to look at different options so that they can meet us where they are. He says, and I quote, "If we understand why we're doing what we're doing, then the what becomes more powerful." If we understand why we're doing what we're doing, then the what becomes more powerful. Think about your experience in high school, in middle school, whatever it is. And I don't know if it was just me, but I used to wonder, why are we sitting here? Why are we learning this? I don't care. This is not applicable to my life. There's a million other things that I would rather be doing right now. And if my teacher just would have made it a little bit more practical, if they would have just made it a little bit more real life, maybe I would have cared more. Now, the only motivation that I had as a child is that my mom said not to bring home bad grades. Okay, my mom was a little scary every once in a while, and so therefore I did not bring home bad grades. But it's not because I enjoyed the material in those classes. In fact, I thought most of the time I was like, this is the best you can do? You're the teacher. Aren't you excited about the material we're talking about? You mean to tell me the best you can do is us sitting in a chair for an hour as we read out of a book? Like, I've been reading for a really long time. I can read the material by myself. I don't need you to read me the material. I need you to make it relevant. I need to know why we're doing this. I need to understand how this is applicable. And if there is no reason other than we're doing what we're doing, well, then at least make it fun. At least make it relevant. At least make it to where, I'm enjoying the learning process or still being a good learner. I think that's possible. I think we just get complacent. That's not fair. That is not fair. I don't think that people are being complacent. I think they just don't know what they don't know. I think that, you've seen an atmosphere. This looks like the teaching atmosphere. And I'm here to tell you, you can learn in a lot of different atmospheres. Change up the atmosphere. If you are bored, they are bored. If it's sunny outside, chances are very likely people want to be outside. Go outside. Take your books. Go outside. Learn. People are people. And I think they're predictable. But I think that we are also, again, trying to smash people into boxes. They don't belong in the box. Play the hip hop music. Do that. Like, whatever it is. Play the country music. Whatever it is. Classical music. Play the music. Have a good time. Tell some jokes. Tell a story. Make things just interactive. And I think you'll find that it's funner to teach, and the students will enjoy learning. He says, I think I've gone through most of the things on here, but the last thing that I have as far as notes are, he says, when your desires are extrinsic, your energy is different, which I agree. We already talked about that. And he also said you may struggle finding your why, but the why is necessary. You may struggle finding your why, but the why is necessary. You're having those students, those people, and they're just not getting it. But if you can make it relevant to them, if you can make them understand why they need to be good learners, how they can be good learners. I struggled with this particular statement because typically when people talk about their why, typically they talk about their children, they talk about their family, and somewhere in there, good or bad, I disconnected myself from that being my why, because I personally wanted to be able to be successful and not feel like I had something to prove to someone else or feel like I was being held down by someone else. At the same time, I've never had kids, so I don't know what that means or how that feels like. And so when I think about my why, I know that I have to look internally, and I have to be completely transparent, completely open, and completely standing alone. And I think in that, it makes me stronger. Makes me a stronger person, because when I come to you with a why, it is a this is my why on my existence. This is my why. Which, don't get me wrong, kids are wonderful, and if that is your why, it's a great why. But I think it is important that you figure out the why. Why are you here? Why are you doing this? What is this for? That's what's going to push you. That's what's going to keep you coming back. That's what's going to keep you motivated. All those days that, people are trying to drag you down, you're like, oh, nope, going back tomorrow. I'm going back better, stronger than I ever have been or was before. When you find your why, he says, it evokes a sense of energy and desire. And I don't know how you personally feel, but I do think about this in the realm of education. Why is it you're an educator? Why is it you're a teacher? Why is it you're a coach? Why is it you're a guide? Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you in the field you're in? Why are you choosing this job? Why are you choosing this group of people? Why? Ask yourself why. And once you have a strong enough why, man, the rest of it's just fun. The rest of it's just moving you in the direction of things that make you happy. The rest of it's just moving you in the direction of your passion. So, on that note, what's your why? Figure it out. It's important. If you know it, leave it in the comments. And we will be moving on to chapter 5 in the next video. I usually cheat and I already know what it is, but I actually don't know what chapter 5 is. So let's see. Chapter 5, we're going to be discussing walking in your purpose. So I guess we'll see you back here soon for some more discussing and some more positivity. All right? See you soon. Bye.